Signs you are a victim of triangulation. Gen Z and millennials often hold forth regarding toxic relationships and their social anxiety. Toxicity in a relationship of any type can damage the personality of the victim and their perspective on life. Psychology ranks triangulation as the most common toxic trait prevalent in intimate ties. It is persistently prevalent among narcissistically inclined people, and the victims do not recognize this plethora of narcissistic triangulation. Have you ever questioned yourself after a conflict, even though you were on the right? Do you want to know whether you are falling victim to triangulation? Go ahead with this video and find answers to your burning questions. Triangulation is a coping mechanism for people with insecurities or complexities, and narcissists may adopt the approach to keep control of the situations. It emerges when two people in a relationship dive into a conflict and one indulges a third person in validating his or her point. The manipulator speaks foul of the other party at their back to get the support of an intruder and to dominate the second party. The triangulation in a conflict may be introduced to divert attention from the original issue and retain the sense of superiority. For example, a couple may turn to a person to ask them to take sides and support one of them, while the narcissist might involve a third wheeler to make the other party feel left out. The one-on-one debate might turn into a 2-to-1 conflict. That way, they might deliberately look over the left-out person's stance, and they might not give their side of the story enough weight. The victim might question themselves to the minimum or feel intensely depressed to the maximum. Triangulation pattern is visible among friends and couples, and parenting might also be intoxicated by triangulation. The parents may fix the roles and designate one of the kids as their favorite and the other as the scapegoat, blaming the scapegoat for every wrong while ignoring the other kid's faults. Furthermore, the separated parents might try to buy their kids support when the other parent leaves. They may try to get their kids' attention by allowing them to do what the other parent prohibits them from doing. Signs you are a victim of triangulation. Triangulation benchmarks are covert mental or emotional abuse and deception. The persecutor is a narcissist with stunted emotional growth and behaves like an underdeveloped child. If your acquaintances react harshly to a hairline trigger and do not accept the criticism gracefully, you suffer from a triangulation. After such a conflict, if they presume you are the root cause of the issue and portray themselves as the victim, it is crystal clear that the relationship you're in is toxic and the person is the persecutor. Their belief in you as a pathological person in the relationship waives them from punishing you for the faults they blame you for. The persecutors are unconscious in a way that they cannot reflect on themselves and analyze their actions. Aggressive behavior. Moreover, if you try to communicate with them empathetically and ask them to share their childhood wounds, they will probably roar at you and be triggered. Persecutors are incompetent to confront their childhood trauma and do not heal. Instead, they spit their anger on their partners or relatives, so if your acquaintance does not open up about his or her childhood trauma and is aggressive towards you, that is another sign for you to move on. The persecutor renders a firm belief that brutality is necessary to steer clear of any threat. They act aggressively to keep an upper hand, and if you notice such a pattern, you are a sure victim to triangulation. Get wind of yourself. In addition, whenever there is a difference of opinion or a dispute between the persecutor and the persecuted hear rumors about themselves. The persecutors try to protect themselves and secure their position by spreading false news and getting the support of the people. They feel a sense of reassurance when they get another person involved in the matter and validate their position. On the contrary, the persecuted feels left out and bewildered by their choices. Here, again, the assailant is abusing the person through triangulation. Fabricated lies. Narcissists intend to self-protect by lying, and their pathological functioning brain makes them believe their lies. They may act out their emotions in their effort to make these bare-faced lies believable for the third wheeler. That makes them good actors from an early age. The acting and the incredible stories they weave to smear their acquaintance compel the third person to believe in their lies. That is how they earn their support. The persecutors will justify their lies and stubbornly portray themselves as victims. So, if the abuser fibs and justifies his or her deeds, you should know the person is not loyal and implying triangulation. Third-person intrusion. The persecutor may treat people like objects. They may get help from people who had no link to the conflict and then discard them as used objects once they have benefited from them. They may indulge a similar person for moral support in another issue and leave them again. The pattern of attachment and withdrawal is another warning sign of being used in triangulation. Mental and physical exploitation. The narcissist is mean and will compel the third person to go as far as they can to protect themselves. They might expect the person to take the fall for them or take the blame to avoid vulnerability and keep their ego intact. They may keep telling the person how important they are for the narcissist to benefit from their desires. Narcissists have a knack for manipulating their minds and will effortlessly make others trust what they say, thus exploiting your energies and your rages. Here, the persecutor is a narcissist and abuses the victim through triangulation. Triangulation among couples. Some partners may not be as assertive or violent as the narcissist, but they may subtly pursue triangulation. They would gaslight your feelings and treat you cold. They will keep expecting appraisals and admiration they need to feed their insecurities. If you give them what they desire, they will be delighted to maintain a relationship with you. On the other hand, if you do not nourish their ego, they will play distinct tactics to pull you down and try to infuse your brain with the notion that you are not good enough for them. They will give the impression that they have good options and that you should feel lucky to have them. They would keep comparing you with others and imply that others are better than you, to feast on their narcissistic sense. Consequently, you feel shaky and fear they will leave you as you are not good enough for them. The thought will persuade you to earn their praise, and you will find yourself doing extravagant endorsements to please the person. They keep the cycle going through the do more approach, and you will find it hard to get their attention. At that point, comprehend the relationship as toxic and deem yourself a victim of triangulation. Parent-children relationship. The pattern of triangulation is also prevalent in a parent-children relationship. When the parents decide to divorce, they might want their children to cling to their side and support them in the family chaos. The narcissistic parent might try to buy the kid's approval by treating the kids. They might permit the kid to conduct outlawed actions sanctioned by the other parent. They may lie to their eldest kid so the kid believes and empathizes with them while loathing the other parent. The narcissist parent may also overlook legal obligations to get them to their side. Thus, the narcissist parent divides the kid and the other parent and rules. Fundamentally, the narcissist person employs the rule of divide and conquer. They divide the two parties by bringing one of them to their side and ruling both through manipulation. Triangulation in corporate sector. Triangulation also lingers in a relationship between two colleagues or friends. Friends or colleagues who do not endorse your skills and keep questioning your competence are red flags. Those who butter their conspiracies with concern are triangulating you. For instance, they might nitpick you and complain to your boss about it, asserting they are concerned about you and want you to rest when your boss has assigned you a significant project. They will never be overt with their tactics, but will cautiously propose their views. They would transcend their limits and hijack your projects to prove they are better than you. Such a person will let someone barge in your dealings to prove their stance. Here, you are facing triangulation at your workplace with your teammates and even friends. In a nutshell, the signs of being a victim of triangulation comprise appreciating others for intruding on the issue and appreciating them for taking sides. The persecutor may hunt for others backing him in the conflict, hence forcing others to support him. The victim may feel isolated or left out and might question themselves. The persecutor amplifies their craft of manipulating others. Wrecks of triangulation. The victim might feel exhausted and frustrated for trusting an unreliable narcissistic person. The person might feel remorseful for draining their energies on a persecutor and not reverting to it aptly. The triangulation may lead to escalated discomfort among people. The victim may develop trust issues and may doubt themselves about a busted affinity. The victim may exhibit passive aggression and might have shattered self-esteem sometimes. How to deal with triangulation. Now that you have identified triangulation, the next step is learning how to react and respond to such disasters. If you react to the triangulation properly, you might overpower its wreckage. Do not doubt yourself. Triangulators do not reflect your worth. Articulate your feelings. Bringing triangulation to light might be scary and tough for the victims, specifically when a person fears discord. Still, to figure out things, the victim must elaborate on how they feel and how the manipulator is toxic to their mental peace. Once you interpret their tactics, they will be cautious about playing the same ploys next time. They will either distance themselves from you or might be prudent around you. Support yourself. If you perceive the manipulator is spreading false pieces of information regarding you, stand for yourself and clear the wind. You may candidly divert your conversation towards the issue when hanging out with a bunch of people. Apprise them of the real side of the story with composure. It might not sometimes help, as some might believe the rumors, whereas you will get enough supplement of moral support from others. Draw boundaries. You might not wholly cut off triangulation from life, as the manipulator may not stop blabbering about you with the ones you know. You might have to let go of what they've done to you previously, but you don't have to give them free rein to manipulate you further or defame you through their lies. Cut off your ties and build your boundaries. However, you may adopt some coping strategies if they do not respect your boundaries. Try to avoid them by avoiding places where you might encounter them solo. Surround yourself with encouraging friends who positively impact your life. Do not let them compare you with others. Triangulation is a toxic approach that can influence a person adversely. It gives birth to a pessimistic idea of life among youth. The victim may live with compromised self-esteem. Therefore, you must step out of such a tainted association. That was all for today's video. Let us know in the comments below whether you have ever faced such a situation. And while you're at it, why not like, subscribe, and share this video? With that said, we'll see you in the next one.